What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Gaming with the Broscast, episode 96. My name is Harrison. I am joined by my co-host, my brother, Nick, as always. Nick, what's going on, man?
What's going on, buddy? It's a good week. You know, we got some fun stuff going on. It's always a great week here at Gaming with the Bros.
Yeah, always. We got a little bit of you and I have both completed Metroid Dread. Nick, you have absolutely powered through Metroid. You beat
got that 100% on hard mode, baby,
and hard mode. So I'm excited to hear your thoughts on that. I am working my way through hard mode as we speak. Not actually finding it that challenging right now. It's once you kind of learn the boss kind of moves and stuff. It's pretty fun. But we'll talk about that here in a second. And then of course we got some in the news coming up here. We've got the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack that was finally announced alongside of the Animal Crossing update. So we'll talk about that here very, very shortly. But before we get into all that, Nick, how was your week?
My week was great. And I feel like I say that every week, but that's good. That's a good thing. I went to a wedding, or not, I guess it was like a wedding celebration.
Okay.
They got married with just their family there on Friday, and then Saturday we went to like the wedding celebration at their house. So that was a fun day.
So did they like get officially married?
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah,
they
got
just did
married.
like a more of like a low key kind of.
Yeah,
thing?
it was relatively low key. I think there were probably 70 or 80 people there. You know, the bride wore her wedding dress to the celebration. So it was pretty much like going to a wedding reception that was like 6 hours long. So
it was
pretty fun.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, that sounds cool.
And then I went to my first concert in a year and a half.
Nice. Who'd you go see?
I went to go see All Time Low.
Nice.
which weirdly was my first concert that I ever went to.
Okay.
Yeah. First, cool. if I die tomorrow, it's gonna be my first and last concert. So that's
how are
cool.
they? Were they pretty good?
Yeah, they were good. It was at the Fillmore in Charlotte, and I got there and I was like, I've been here before.
Yeah, that's where the Warped Tour usually is.
But we had gone. I think we'd gone there to see Pierce the Veil.
Yeah, you're right. No, I think the PNC Arena is usually where Warped Tour is. Yeah, yep. I went there not too long. Maybe it was Raleigh. I saw Pierce the Veil. Oh, that's been 5-6 years ago. But yeah, super cool.
Yeah, I got there and I was like, wait, this looks so familiar.
Familiar.
Yeah, so I bought the $15 beer.
As you do.
Got the popcorn.
Got to experience it.
Yeah, I mean, as you do, you get the big $15 beer. You know, it felt weird, like. And we were kind of like on the outside of the crowd, but, you know, having to like scooch in, like if you could like jump out of the crowd to get a drink, like I felt really weird having to like squish my way back in.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was a good concert. I've realized that Sunday concerts are not the best idea because, well, especially in another city, because we either had to drive back in the morning, do a 3-hour drive before work, or just wait till after work and drive then. And we ended up waiting until after work, and it just took forever to get home because of the traffic and everything. So we're like, I don't know if Sunday concerts are the best.
Yeah, because you're working from home, like partly, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I worked from home one day, and then we drove back from Charlotte after that.
Cool.
Yeah. But how was your week?
It was good. My wife and I, Brittany, we took our our 2-year anniversary was like on like a random Tuesday at the end of September. So we waited a couple weeks so we could travel a little bit. But we left on Thursday and we went to Roanoke. Kind of random, but we had looked at possibly going to like Asheville and just looking into hotels and Airbnbs. It was going to be like $500 plus. And Nashville's a pretty expensive city anyways. So we were just trying to go somewhere that we both have not gone before. And Brittany really wanted to go because, Roanoke's, it's considered like a spooky, kind of town.
Yeah.
And it turns out that it really wasn't. Everyone was like, "Yeah, what are you talking about? It's not really spooky here." So we're like, and once we got there, we didn't really look into um, much stuff to do spooky wise because they had like this really awesome like they called it like a go outside festival, but they had it for 2 days, Friday and Saturday. So we did that both days, and they had like BMX bike and stuff. They had a bunch of bars were participating in this thing. You get like a wristband, and you get to take your beer like on the go. Essentially, they give you like a to go, plastic beer cup or whatever. And you just walk around and mingle with people. And they had like 5 or 6 bands going. Like they had like a main stage with like the main band, but then like each restaurant had their own individual band going. Like a smaller kind of acoustic set kind of thing.
Oh,
So
that's
that was
awesome.
super cool. Yeah, so we did. So we walked around and did that. But Thursday we went to like this little bar, and we got there, and we always go very hard on like the first day when we're on vacation, just because
You're on vacation.
we're on vacation, we have no kids, no work, have to get up early. So we went to this bar. We ended up getting to the hotel. Which shout out, we stayed at Ramada. So if you're listening and you're from Roanoke, yeah, that's not a great hotel. It looked very nice online. It was super cheap. It was like $170 for the 3 nights. But we got there, and like you get there and you go to the lobby, and it looks really nice. And then they're like, okay, here's your cards. Now you got to go to the back, and that's where the rooms are. You're on the 4th floor, so we're like, cool. So we go around, and it looks like a slum. Like it just looks so nasty and bad.
no.
Like the I think we only rode the elevator once, but it just looked super gross. And they had a bunch of like in the back, they had a bunch of mattresses and furniture like up against the the trash can. So they may have been in the process of remodeling. But once we got to the room, it was actually a lot nicer than we expected from just the walk up to it. So that was cool. And it was
okay. That's good.
And then I texted Dad, and I was like, we made it. Here's the room we're staying at. Here's the address. And he's like, how is it? I was like, it's all right. He's like, are you safe? And I was like, yeah, we're safe. It's fine. I know, and no one messed. It was a pretty quiet hotel, so that was nice. But we ended up Ubering to this local bar. They had like this really good band playing, which was the front runner was a girl. So it's pretty awesome to see a band with a female lead. You don't see that too often, but yeah, she did awesome. We ate some wings and stuff like that, and had a bunch of shots of Crown Royal. Oh, that was
God.
disgusting. Just because they didn't have our go-to Jim Beam apple that first night. So we felt like poo-poo the next day for a little bit. And then it was about 2:30 when we left the bar, and it's our local downtown area in Greensboro, not in High Point. They have like the little scooters. So we had contemplated riding these scooters back to the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And I got on one and started driving around, and it was pretty fast. I was pretty impressed. But then I was like, you know what? It's only a mile away, but we're both like pretty messed up. So I'm just going to get an Uber and call it a night, because I don't know about driving a scooter down, across the highway over a bridge is probably not the safest bet. So that's what we ended up doing. Got an Uber and just took it safe. And then yeah, the rest of the weekend was pretty awesome. I ended up going to a local like game store. That's like my thing, is like whenever I go to a new city, I always like to just kind of ponder their local game store. It was super small too, but I didn't end up getting anything, but I just like to shop around, see what they had. But yeah, it was a great time. I did bring my Switch with me, but I just didn't have time to play the OLED or anything like that. I brought it just in case. Yeah, I brought it just in case, because we did have like on Friday, we had a pretty early night. We came back at like 9:30, and Brittany ended up falling asleep pretty early. So I was like, do I really want to play my Switch? And then I was like, nah, I'm just gonna watch some TV and pass out. But yeah, it was a good week. Definitely,
Nice.
it always sucks to come back from like a long weekend back to work, but still working from home, so it's all good.
Yeah. So, do you ever get cocktails when you go out?
We did find this one on Friday. We
Mhm.
were looking for some lunch, and we found this really cool bar called Fork in the Alley. It's like you walk up from the street, and it's got like this outside bar, and it's got a bunch of tables and stuff. And we were trying to find some food first, and we ended up going. We're like, "Do y'all serve food?" And they're like, "You have to actually walk back into the alley, and hence Fork in the Alley." And then
Cool.
we walked back and got some really good food. And then after that, I mean, we were still pretty not hungover at this point, but just weren't quite ready to drink yet. So we ended up going back up to the front because they were setting up for like a little acoustic set, and I got like a Captain Coke, and she got I think like a Malibu Bay Breeze or something like that. But to answer your question, no, not really. We use not too much. The only time I ever drink a mixed drink is when I'm at the house.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I mean, we'll drink our. I'm a beer drinker, and so is Brittany, and then we'll take our shots. On like Saturday night, because we got to the festival and just found a really nice like seafood bar kind of thing, and just started a tab. I think we ended up taking like 8 or 10 shots. It was
Jesus.
Yeah, we went hard.
I don't know how you do it.
No, this was over the course of 7 hours.
Okay.
But so not like
how much does a shot cost? Like compared to like if you were gonna get like a Jack and Coke, and then
I think they're relatively pretty close because I mean you're still if you get a double of something, usually they don't really incorporate. I mean some bars might. They usually don't incorporate like the cost of the Coke because it's usually just like a splash or whatever. Yeah. But I mean I think it was like $6 for like and they were pretty hefty shots. I mean we would. Like they were so big, we just took like a half a shot and then just chilled out for a second and then just finished it before we moved on or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I mean, at that bar, we probably, we 8 to 10 shots, probably like 8 to 10 beers. I mean, it was like an $80 bar tab. So I don't know if there was
that's
specials.
Not bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if there's any specials that are going on just because of that festival, but. Yeah, I mean, it was $80, and then the one we had at the first night, that was a little bit more expensive. It was like 100, 110, something like that. But I mean,
okay,
and we got food too, so not bad.
The reason I ask is that like a cocktail around here at least is, I would say at the very least $10.
Yeah, if you're gonna get like something that's more than just like a Jack and Coke or whatever, yeah, these cocktails are gonna be pretty expensive. That's why I usually don't mess with them at a restaurant unless I get a margarita because that's always a solid go-to. Yeah. And even then, I can only drink like maybe 2
because they're just so sugary.
Sugary and heartburn. I mean, I don't really get heartburn, but just with the margarita mix, it can give you a little bit of heartburn. But yeah, I usually just stick with the beer, and if we go out to dinner or something, like I'll usually start with some sort of IPA or something a little bit nicer, and then switch over to like a light beer, just because like they just get so filling so quickly. Yeah. So,
well, speaking of heartburn, my heart is burning to talk about Metroid Dread.
Yes, I am super excited. So we're going to talk about some spoilers here. So if you have not finished Metroid Dread, just consider, we did talk about it in the previous episode. So you can always go back to that and take a listen. But we were going to talk about a little bit of spoilers. So there's really not, we're going to talk about some story stuff. There's really not that much to talk about story wise.
Yeah. I mean,
but I think in these games, getting the abilities, fighting these certain bosses, that's the more stuff you don't want to be spoiled. So if you care at all about that kind of stuff, I'll definitely have it for the audio listeners. I'll have the chapter markers in there letting you know when we start and when we end. But yeah, Nick, let's dive right in because man, what a game.
Before we get in, I just want to preface, I guess, both of our experience with the Metroid franchise. So
okay, yeah.
You have not fully played through a Metroid game before Dread. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've played very, very little and definitely have not completed one. I definitely want to go back now that
Yeah.
I've played through Dread and see how those compare to this. But
Well, you have
um
the Wii U, which is
yeah,
literally the perfect Metroid machine.
yeah.
You can play Fusion, Zero Mission, Metroid Prime Trilogy. I need to go home and get my Wii U so I can get all that stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, so you haven't fully played through a Metroid game. I have gotten pretty into it this year. I played Samus Returns
Okay.
when it came out on the 3DS back in like 2018 or 2017. And then this
Did
year I
you
played,
finish? Did you finish Metro or that version?
yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. And I loved it. And then I
Okay.
played
Cool.
through Fusion and Super Metroid this year.
Very cool.
And then like 10 years ago, I played Metroid Prime 3 and loved that one as well, but just never played the other Prime games, which I've heard are even better than
Yeah.
than 3. So
So how does that? So if since you played those other 2D Metroids recently, did did you come into this like super duper hyped based
I
off of
did.
playing those? Okay.
And
I didn't know if you would get fatigued. Well, obviously you didn't because you destroyed the game, but
well, the thing about it is Metroid Dread just feels so it feels so advanced compared to Super Metroid, but especially Super Metroid in my opinion, and then Fusion a little bit less so, but just with the addition of free aiming, the
mm-hmm.
slide, some of the abilities that you can get, it kind of feels like it's on another level. And for that reason, I didn't feel like I was fatigued
Okay, very cool.
because, when I was playing Fusion and Super Metroid, I knew I was playing older games. And, it was just very apparent that Dread took that and evolved it, made it modern, even improved on Samus Returns that was on the 3DS. I mean, yeah, but I want to keep it somewhat structured just so we catch everything throughout our Metroid Dread conversation. But let's start with the level progression. Let's start with kind of the flow through levels. So, as someone who's never really played a Metroid before, what did you think about going from Artaria to what is it, Cataris, and then to Daron, and then having to go straight back to Cataris after that, and just having to like mix around between maps?
It was pretty. I mean, it was pretty awesome. I mean, as someone who's played, other Metroidvania style games, yeah. As soon as you get those new abilities, and you start clicking in your head. Okay, I remember this area I can go back to. I remember this. There was a few times that I did get lost and had to either check out a guide briefly, or kind of just study the map. Because that map is so dense, and as someone who played majority of the handheld because I have an OLED and want to experience that, I don't know how well I would have progressed if I was playing on like a big TV where I just can't see as closely as the map. But yeah, I thought like the level progression was super smart in this game, and just the way they tie everything back in, and it was very, very well done in my opinion.
And I really loved how some of the levels would change throughout the course of the game, like Artaria that kind of froze over towards the end, and you had to go back and turn the lava valve back on, and then it kind of went back to normal, and you could kind of progress and still find stuff that you had missed before.
Yeah,
but yeah, I kind of agree. I liked how it sent you to another level, and then said, hey, like, you're gonna need some more stuff to progress here, but here's an item that can help you progress in previous levels. And I thought that was super cool. And I have another question as a kind of a first time Metroid player. How did you adapt to kind of having to shoot all over the place to expose hidden blocks and things like that? Was it pretty easy?
Yeah, I mean, I just got into the habit of like literally every room, I would just kind of, I mean, for the most part, you could tell if like a room was clear or if there was no other really really other sections, especially when you download the map and you kind of see the outline of every room and area. But yeah, I mean, I just got into the habit of making sure that I am shooting all spots that I think could potentially be a hidden area or a shortcut or something like that. I know there's, I think, one section in particular, I think that you had tweeted out that someone had gotten stuck, but I remember immediately just seeing that and was like, oh, that's definitely a hidden wall. And sure enough, it was. So, yeah, I just always got in the habit of making sure that I'm shooting everything with rockets just to expose potential stuff.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny. I started a new file today, and I'm trying to beat the game in under 4 hours.
Okay.
And I ended up in that room because like I couldn't remember what he was talking about. And I went to that room and didn't even realize it at the time, but I started shooting at one of the like the little flying guys.
Yeah.
And I missed him, and I hit the blocks above him, and it exposed the area. And I was like, okay, that's exactly what the game wanted you to do. It wanted you to try to hit the flying creature, miss, and then expose the hole in the wall, essentially.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, that's great level design.
I can say when I first started the game, it didn't quite click to me, because I didn't realize that you could free aim at first. So I was just shooting, I wasn't holding down the L and going into free aim. I was just,
you weren't stopping to shoot.
No, I wasn't stopping. So I was like, man, this is really hard. And then the same thing, we'll talk about Emmys here in a second, but the same thing with Emmys, when you get the upgraded gun, or the Omega Blaster, I didn't. So I know you have to, you hold L and then you hold R to power up, whatever. I didn't realize at first that you have to guide the stick. I was just going literally up and down with the stick and was like, how do I like aim with this? And then finally, I just started messing with the controls and I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. Mm-hmm. I can tilt, like you have to go sideways and not up and down. I just
you're aiming towards the enemy.
Yeah, I just misread the and that's totally my fault because it clearly says it in the controls when it teaches you. But I just thought when it said up and down, it literally meant up and down, and you have to slowly move it up and down, and I didn't realize it was supposed to be, to the side. Whatever side you're pointing to is kind of how you have to. So totally my fault, but it just was not clicking at first. And then when I finally figured it out, I was like, thank God, because I was like, this is not working for me. But
well, then so this and Samus Returns are the only games that have free aim. Yeah. That was implemented from Mercury Steam. So if you go back to play Fusion, keep that in mind.
Okay.
Especially for Super Metroid, because Fusion allowed you to aim diagonally. So you could like aim at 45 degrees either way.
Okay.
So it made it a little bit easier, but Super Metroid, you couldn't do that. So all you could do is aim to the right, left, up and down. Okay. So it made it really hard to, at least for me playing it in 2021, it made it really hard to adjust.
Okay.
But yeah, that free aim,
it comes in handy.
Yeah, it definitely comes in handy. I don't know how you would have done the first boss if you didn't have.
I think I beat the first Emmy without doing that free aim. Like obviously I did the aim, but I didn't control it the right way. So I had to literally wait until I got up to my face and then shot it because I was pointing up or pointing like pretty like diagonally. So yeah, it was pretty frustrating at first for that. And then I figured it out. I was like, man, I'm an idiot, but I'm glad I figured it out.
Well, speaking of levels a little bit more, did any particular levels stick out to you, or did they kind of blend in together?
I'm trying to think.
I can't remember which one it was, but there's one where you step outside and you kind of see wildlife around you, and you see like an animal scurry away.
That was a really cool, that was a really cool level when you kind of get outside. I do like the fact that when you get to new areas and you're coming up on new bosses, you can actually kind of see them in the background. Like, especially the first boss, you can see it go into a cave in the background, which is really cool, or a really nice touch. So, they made it, obviously the game is 2D, but it's got some 3D aspects to it, and they do a really good job of blending cutscenes into 2D, and stuff like that, especially when like the Emmy are involved and you're but it's really there's not one particular level that kind of stood out. That the one that you mentioned does, just because like that's like the only outside level outside of like the very beginning of the game. That's not like a corridor and stuff, but yeah, they all tie in super nice together. I like the fact there's 2 or 3 options to get into a level from a different section. I do wish that maybe at some point you could unlock like a fast travel from a save option. I know there's teleporters and stuff, but I wish there was like you could warp between save areas at some point, but that's obviously never an option. But
I know at the end of the game you can warp between any teleporter you want.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think the game gives you that option right before the final boss.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
And I didn't utilize it because I really didn't know. But
yeah, I didn't know either, and I don't know if it ever tells you. Maybe it does. I don't know. I mean, at that point, anyways, I was ready to get to the boss and fight it, but
yeah,
because I knew I would go back and play it through again and kind of did what you did.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, there wasn't like a particular level that I didn't like or an area I didn't like. They were all pretty nice, I thought.
Yeah, I thought so too. All right, what about these items? So the game throws about 25 different upgrades at you, something like that. You're constantly getting stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, there's so many different kind of doors in this game. It's absolutely ridiculous. But all the items feel really good. They feel really important. I like the fact that they don't immediately give you the warp ball, just because like that's like the main staple of Metroid is going into a ball and kind of going through the level, and they don't immediately give it to you. And there's so many areas that you come across that you're like, man, if I just had this, that'd be really nice because I see so many items. But
I mean, you see it like right at the beginning, just like a space for that.
I like the fact that they did that, and it allowed you to to make sure that you're focusing on your rockets and your blaster and stuff and getting that down pat, and then they give you the war ball and you are able to start scooting through the levels quick and stuff. But yeah,
and they kind of make up for it too with the slide, because you can use the slide to get under ledges, and that's really useful for running away from the enemies. But
definitely,
yeah, getting the morph ball, I mean, kind of this late in the game is unprecedented for a Metroid game, especially like with like I started Zero Mission, and I did this totally legally, by the way, and didn't download any ROMs or anything to do that. But you literally walk to the left and you pick up the morph ball.
Oh,
it's like, wow, you get it in like the first 10 seconds of the game, and here it takes maybe 2 hours to get it. Yeah. Did you have any favorite abilities?
I'm trying to think. The invisibility cloak was a really cool touch. That comes in super handy when you're fighting when you're going into the ME sections. I didn't find myself using it that much outside of the ME sections, just because you could kill the enemies pretty quickly. Trying to think what else. I did like the kind of I don't know what it's called, but the last upgrade you get for the bomb. And it's like that mega bomb or whatever it's called.
Oh, the power bomb.
Power bomb. I wish you got that a little bit sooner because I didn't really use it that much. And I tried using it on the final boss, but obviously the boss don't have health bars. So I tried a couple of times to use it just to think maybe if I used it like 5 times in a row, I could get him down pretty quickly. But it wasn't really effective on him because you have to, we'll talk about it here in a little bit, but I just didn't find myself using it that much.
There is a spot where it's really useful in the final boss. Okay, I'll just mention it briefly, but it's when he throws up the sun.
Oh, okay.
If you do the power bomb, it'll defeat the sun or whatever.
Oh,
it'll destroy the sun.
Okay, man, that's
and that thing's a pain in the ass too.
Yeah, that's probably the most difficult part I had with that section. So yeah, good to know.
I really love the storm missiles, and I didn't use them enough on my first playthrough, but I used them when I was going through in hard mode, and especially when I used them a lot when I was fighting the final boss, when I was fighting that experiment number Z57 guy, and even on like the Chozo soldiers, I would use the storm missiles a lot, and they were really, really good.
That's like the burst missiles, right?
Yeah, like the five.
Yeah. I
Five
definitely
burst.
use that on the Chozo, and use it a lot on the final boss as well. Those were awesome. Those were pretty cool.
And then, of course, the flash shift. Like the classic, like Metroidvania type. Yeah, that thing is just so perfect. I can't imagine Metroid without it now. At this point.
Yeah, exactly. It took me a while to get used to the double jump because it's not necessary. Well, it is a double jump, and eventually you'll unlock like the infinite jump, whatever you want to call it. It took me a while to get that because it's kind of like you mentioned, Nick. It's like propulsion based, I guess. Like you have to fall before you can jump again. So it's not like a typical double jump that you would have in another Metroidvania style game. It's not literally a double tap and you jump twice. You have to
like
jump and then
based,
momentum. You got to fall a little bit and then jump again and fall a little bit. So I did have a little bit of trouble fighting the experiment boss because he at some point he'll shoot a series of blasts at you and you have to kind of, it's almost like Flappy Bird. Where you have to kind of like go through them. It took me a while to get used to that, but eventually I was able to get through that. But I mean, like every upgrade and every ability felt pretty useful for the most part. So yeah, I loved it.
Did you find that there were too many upgrades or that you got them too quickly?
Not that I got them too quickly. Like I mentioned, there are so many different doors. So if you're not a completionist, or maybe if you are, like there's just a lot to pick up. Because I mean, you're constantly finding areas where you're blocked off, and it's just a straight up question mark on the item or on the door or whatever, and or the block. So you have no idea what it is until you unlock it. But I mean, there's a lot. I mean, and just I don't play. This is probably the most I've ever played handheld on the Switch, and especially fighting the final boss, my hands were absolutely cramped to shit playing this game. Just because you're constantly just having to hold.
You're pressing
left
like every button.
They utilize every button. To some sort of a fault because, like I said, it hurts after a while. But it's I think it works out pretty well. But I mean, I didn't find that there was too much stuff. But
man, I kind of want you to play Samus Returns on the 3DS because that thing cramps your hands like crazy.
Oh, I can't imagine.
I mean, yeah, the 3DS is already bad enough, just ergonomics wise, but that game really pushed it to its limit.
Gosh, yeah, and I don't have a grip. I want to get a grip for the OLED, so I don't have one now. So I'm just playing it in the the base, the regular handheld, and I played a lot of it in tabletop mode too. I just wanted to kind of check that out, and it's really nice just having that more degree to kind of tilt the stand. Like that thing is, it feels so nice to be able to do that and not have to worry about it falling over, or you can practically have it sitting flat with slight angle. So yeah, if you're like an avid flyer, OLED is the way to go. Yeah, because like I think I tried playing one time on a flight with the OLED, and it immediately fell over, and I had, or not the OLED, the regular Switch, the OG Switch. I think I tried doing it once, and it fell over immediately because it's like not even that heavy of turbulence. So I just had to put it in lay it flat in my my carrying case, and it worked out fine. But yeah, this thing is perfect for that kind of thing. So
yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. You want to move on to the Emmy?
Yeah. So I guess, I mean, I feel like everyone knows at this point, but the Emmys are like one of the new additions to Metroid Dread. It's almost like an invincible. Right, it's that guy. Yeah. The invincible creature that will follow you through certain zones, and you have to avoid them either by running away or by using your Phantom Cloak ability or whatever other abilities you have. And then eventually you get the what is it called?
Omega Blaster.
The Omega Blaster, and you can use that to kill the Emmy. So there were 7 Emmys throughout the game, which means there were seven Emmy sections. So Harrison, how'd you like him?
I really liked him a lot. And I like the fact that because you know I don't know if it was stated necessarily, but the fact that they're not constantly coming after you. It's just those certain sections, and they're pretty. I mean, immediately when you walk into it because the music changes. It kind of gets like a hazy feel over like
like a filter
screen,
almost.
like a filter. But yeah, I mean those sections they were a nice break for the typical run and shoot kind of there's not much really exploration you're doing during those sections because you're constantly having to get away from the enemies. And yeah, I mean it's a really cool when the enemy does see you, being able to run and jump and go invisible and slide under sections, and then eventually getting outside the enemy zone door. You feel really badass when you're able to get away from them. That being said, when you do get caught by an enemy, it's 99% game over, just because like you have two timing events that you can do, 2 chances, and it's really hard to know when to counter because there is a counter in this game. I can never quite figure it out. I did do it a few times, and one time I did it, and I felt really badass because then you slide underneath the enemy and you go on. But I'm glad that it is so hard, because then it would kind of take the the dread right out of those sections, because it's knowing that it's a guaranteed game over when you get caught increases the tension that much more. So I'm glad they are that hard. But yeah, when you are able to pull that off and nail that counter, you do feel really good and able to escape. So how did you feel about all that stuff?
I really liked him. The sections were a lot shorter than I thought, and I think that's a good thing. And that might just be attributed to how fast you move with Samus. I mean, you can get from one side of the enemy zone to another exit in 30 seconds if you're going fast enough. And sometimes you're trying to juke out an enemy and you're trying to evade them that way. Sometimes you use the Phantom Cloak. I mean, I didn't really use much of the Phantom Cloak. I just ended up running away a lot of the time.
You could just get through that section really quick. So yeah.
But then like near the end of the game, there are some enemies that, one of them can like freeze you in place. Yeah. One of them can shock you. One of them's just really fast. I mean, there's a lot of variety, and I don't remember having too much trouble with any of the enemies, but I did appreciate how much variety there was with a creature that's used 7 times throughout a game.
Yeah, they spice it up a lot to change up each one to make it feel unique. And then the kind of the main point, or not the main point, but like the main approach to the enemies is you're supposed to find, I believe it's the central unit, but it's like this kind of this brain based,
it's like a mother brain
type like thing. A mother brain style thing, and you kill it and then you absorb its power, and that's how you unlock the Omega Blaster. And after the first enemy, you get like kind of a machine gun almost like blaster, and you have to melt the faceplate off of the enemy, and while it's coming, it's super slow, because it's being shot in the face, and then it kind of it explodes, the faceplate explodes. You have a couple seconds of it being staggered, and then you have to power up your blaster, which can take 5-6 seconds, but that seems like forever when you have this thing walking towards you, and it can be crawling on the ground, and then when it stands up super tall, like it's pretty intimidating. And I really like the fact that later on there is the way the level's designed is you have to find an area that you can stand there long enough to shoot the enemy and then be able to blast it too. So you might be able to, blast it, melt its faceplate off, and then you have to kind of repeat the process and run around the level again so you can get back to that spot to then be able to shoot it. So I thought that was really smart, and kind of changed up the pace of those fights, once you unlock the Omega Blaster. And it's a one-time kind of use. After you defeat the enemy, it depletes. But it's a really strong cannon. But I just thought those, for like you said, for having seven of these things to fight, and areas to go to, they all felt like pretty different from each other.
Yeah, and I thought it was really smart that after you get the Omega Blaster, the game kind of funnels you into a portion of the Emmy zone that has these longer corridors.
Yeah.
So, it gets progressively harder to find a sweet spot, as you're facing these Emmys throughout the game. But, it starts out like you have like these obvious long platforms that you can use to melt the face off. And then near the end of the game, kind of like you said, you have to, slide under a wall. You might not have a lot of space, but you just have to use that and then slide under another wall and use that. And then eventually you can melt the face off. And I thought that was really cool. And I remember there was one where the Emmy was coming at you from above, where it was like hanging on top of the ceiling, and it was coming at you. And I thought that was pretty cool as well. Like, yeah, it worked out a lot better than I thought it would. And it was never really a nuisance, in my opinion.
No, because I mean, as you're going through the game, like you may go through an Emmy section and then, play for 30 minutes outside of it, trying to unlock the next weapon to eventually get to where you can fight the mother brain or whatever. So you're not, once you go into an Emmy section, you're not necessarily stuck in it until you get out. You're kind of just going through the level. And there's a point in the game. Again, we mentioned spoilers, but one of the Emmys get turned off. And when you first see that the guy just standing there, you're like, okay, is he gonna come back alive? And he never does. But at that point in the game, that was a pretty cool moment to just kind of see them standing there immobilized.
Yeah, that was really cool. I really didn't expect that. Didn't expect that kind of twist.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Any last thoughts on these Emmys before we move on?
I'm really excited to watch some no death speed runs of Metroid Dread, because I feel like the Emmys will really throw a wrench in a lot of people's runs.
I think so, yeah.
Like if you get caught, like because the attack is randomized and you really don't know when you need to counter, if a speedrunner gets caught, I mean that's pretty much it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's kind of cool. Like that's never really been the case for a Metroid game outside of Fusion, which just had the SAX, which was kind of a similar thing. It chased you in certain choreographed locations, but yeah, I'm really excited to see how the speedrunning community kind of adapts to Dread.
Yeah, definitely. And I like the fact that most of them give you a new ability or upgrade too. So,
a cool little tidbit. So all of the Emmy except for the first damage one, they all give you like certain upgrades. And the first one doesn't give you anything.
Yeah.
So I think it's alluded that, what's the boss's name? Corpius? Yeah, Corpius, like the first official boss.
Okay.
It's kind of alluded to that he damaged the Emmy and got that Phantom Cloak ability.
That's pretty cool.
I thought that was pretty cool.
That's interesting.
And speaking of Corpius,
speaking of bosses, let's do it. So I guess you want to just kind of go through them as they come up in the game.
Yeah, I have a list up right here actually.
Okay. So the first boss, Corpius, is like this, I don't know, scorpion kind of almost creature. And it kind of barks like a dog too at some point, so that's funny. But
it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's like like all these bosses are like kind of multi-part stages, and I really like the fact that once you nail the timing and the way to counter their move sets and stuff like that, like they're pretty easy. So it just you really have to learn how to fight. Because there's no health bar, so you really don't know how much of your damage, obviously most of the boss fights, you have to use your rockets or the powered up blaster. For the most part, you can use your kind of individual shot if you need to, but for most of the time you're using those rockets. But I thought it was a really great introduction to boss fights for this game. Because I did die quite a few times on this first boss. And then once I nailed, the counter and, its moveset, I was able to get through. So it's fun. It's a good fight.
And the ending to this fight was pretty badass.
Yes.
I'm sure we're going to say that a lot, but but Samus just is, she's just this badass bounty hunter. And I feel like Metroid Dread shows this more than any other Metroid game so far.
Yeah. And most of the fights when you get to when they switch, because in this one in particular, he's got that phantom cloak, so he goes invisible, and you have to shoot his tail. After kind of each stage, you get an opportunity to do like a counter move, which does like huge damage, and then you also get to, if you're successful, you'll get more missiles, you'll get more health, and it'll kind of fly at you like in the cutscene, which is kind of funny. But it's they give you great opportunity to get health back if you need it. But that first fight I thought was really good.
Yeah, it was a great introduction to the forthcoming boss fights. I think the next one is Kraid.
Kraid was probably one of my favorites. I really, really liked its moveset, with the jumping balls that it kind of throws at you, and you have to like slide underneath them and shoot them and stuff like that. And it's got like the mist or the poison one it does, and it shoots it, and you have to kind of jump over it in between the waves that it creates. But my favorite one is when he shoots like the spikes out, and you have to like jump up, and then you can attach to the wall and kind of shoot him up in his face, because he's really tall monster. You don't even see his upper torso unless you can actually get up there, and you don't have to do that. You can just shoot his like belly button is where his main damage is going to be. But I thought that was a really, really great boss fight, and kind of that was the one where it really clicked with me as far as learning those movesets. Because after you do that, like as long as you're aiming right and getting rid of those kind of bouncing ball attacks, like it's a relatively easy fight. Easy. Yeah.
And I actually did it differently than you did. When he was shooting the spikes out, I went into a ball form.
Okay.
And I went under the first spike, and then I just got out and started shooting his stomach again.
Okay.
And then eventually I hit him enough times where the blue thing dropped down so I could jump on it.
Yeah, and then it
brought me up.
Then brought you up. Yeah. There's multiple options, a way to tackle these boss fights, which is super cool. But yeah, Kraid was awesome. That was an awesome fight.
Yeah, and he's the only returning boss. I think he came from Super Metroid.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that.
He was in Super Metroid and the first Metroid, actually.
Oh, cool. Is he literally the same character, or is he just kind of like a?
I think it's the same character, but you beat him up pretty good in Super Metroid, so I don't know how he came back.
I don't know. That's cool. I did not know that. So yeah, a really good boss fight. Liked it a lot.
Yeah. Next we have, and I guess this is like kind of a mini boss, multiple bosses throughout the game, but the Chozo soldiers, or the robot Chozo soldiers. Yeah,
they're about the closest you fight to kind of yourself almost. They're very fast, very nimble. They have different move sets. I really did like these boss fights. It really gives you the opportunity to really get mobile and dodge and counter,
just be fast
and be super fast and just have to be pretty precise with your move set. And you fight one, and there's also a couple of areas where you fight two at a time, which can be pretty challenging. But I thought they were pretty solid fights. I never really got caught up on them too much outside of that first fight when you fight two of them.
Once I learned to use the phase shift, when they're doing that red attack, kind of like the sweeping red attack, because I was like, how do I dodge this? And then I remembered that I have the phase shift, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna jump and phase over them, and after that it was kind of trivialized. And those were really good fights. I mean, they repeated it a couple of times throughout the rest of the game, and ramped up the difficulty, and the ones at the end of the game were overtaken by the X parasites, so they kind of had another phase in the fight. But I thought they were all really good. I mean, the last one, the golden Chozo warrior, he was I mean, just a good test of your skill right before the final boss. So
yeah, definitely.
Then we got Drogia. This was the underwater fight.
Yeah, that one, once you learned the kind of the gimmick to it, it's a pretty easy fight.
Pretty easy.
Yeah. I mean, you're just kind of the monsters in the middle, and you have to like shoot these little buttons or whatever on each side, but the way to get over to the other side is you have to use your grapple hook
beam
to get to the area where you can, and it'll bring you across. But once you do that, I mean, it's pretty easy fight. I did enjoy it though. I didn't get hung up on that one too much.
Yeah, that's the boss where I started feeling really good.
Yeah,
about my skills. I was like, okay, I got this. And then we have Eskew. I don't know if you remember this one, but this is like the bug monster that's flying throughout the map, and it'll like turn invincible for a little bit. This was probably one of my least favorite fights, just because it didn't have too much going on, and there was an attack that was really hard to dodge, where it would fire off like a spray of missiles.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I'm gonna pull up SQ. Okay, yeah. Actually, let me make sure I'm thinking of the right one. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, I remember that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that one wasn't too bad.
No, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. But just not super, I guess not super memorable.
No, I don't think it was either.
Yeah. And then in between we have like a couple of like twin Chozo soldier fights and some more just regular Chozo soldier fights, and then experiment number Z57. And I remember you texting me, said you had a little bit of trouble with this one.
Yeah, and it was mainly just nailing the controls for me, and then just getting that jump down. And once I beat that boss, like I had that jump pretty down for the most part. I did struggle a little bit on the final boss for a little bit, but this one was a fun fight. I thought it was pretty well done.
Yeah, this one I really, really enjoyed, and even more so in hard mode, because I didn't realize this, but I forgot to use the storm missiles when he put up all of his extremities on the wall.
Yeah.
And I was just shooting them individually.
Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah.
And it had to like cycle through the phase. Because I only knocked 2 off, and then so like the fight was taking a while, and then I, on the second playthrough, I realized that I needed to use the storm missiles, so that made it a lot easier. But that was a good fight. Like you said, it kind of teaches you some mechanics, makes sure you're up to snuff, so to speak. And then the last one before the final boss is Golzuna. So this is that boss that starts just as one of those little crab guys that you counter.
Yeah.
And then it turns into a bigger one.
Yeah.
And then it turns into that even bigger one that has kind of those funky attacks where it sends these kind of pink little like, dots that explode. Kind of weird.
This one was pretty not super memorable for me. It was okay. I mean, I beat it. I think it took me a couple tries to beat him, but didn't get hung up on this one at all.
I died a couple times on hard mode because if you do get hit by those little attacks, it takes off like 2 or 3 energy cells, something like that.
Okay,
it's a lot.
Yeah, I could definitely see that on hard mode being a little bit more challenging. But yeah, I mean, it was a random.
A very random fight.
Yeah.
You drop into a room and just there you go. All right, and then the last little guy right here, Ravenbeak. This is technically a four phase boss, and it kind of fights similarly to a Chozo soldier, except he has way more attacks. You have to utilize kind of all of your arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely struggled with him.
Yeah, my clear time was 10 hours and like 45 minutes, but once I went back to like the load, it was only 9.5 hours. So I spent like an hour and some change on this boss, just constantly like beating my head. Like I got pretty upset, not upset, but pretty angry at one point, just because like, yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a 4-phase fight. It's a really long fight. The first phase is pretty easy. He shoots like this purple ball at you, and you can shoot it to get like missiles and stuff back and help. Pretty easy. And then he shoots like this giant blast at you, and you have to duck, and then it'll trigger like
Then you counter.
the quick time, the counter. In the next fight, I'm pretty sure he's invincible, right? You just have to fight him long enough for him to trigger. And it was weird because sometimes I could trigger the cutscene and be able to get to the third phase within one counter, and sometimes it would take two. It just kind of depends, and I'm not really sure where that difference lied. But yeah, once you get to the third phase and he gets those wings, and again, I struggled with the momentum of the space jump, and I could not get around his rapid fire move, and I struggled a lot on that. And then finally I nailed it, and I just had to say, okay, I have to jump right around him. I have to stay right around him, use the quick shift or whatever it's called to get across, come back down, and then you kind of have to repeat the process until he's done shooting. But yeah, you have to, like, that's where my hands started to hurt really bad, because you have to, utilize, because he'll come across the screen and fly at you, and you have to kind of duck or jump depending on where he's at. But I struggled a while on this phase, but once I was able to do it, I got through it pretty quickly.
Okay. Yeah, that I struggled on that one too. I had the jumping down, but I think I got caught up in like his big photon beam thing a couple of times.
Yeah.
And that really takes a chunk off of your health.
Yeah, if you get caught into it. I just learned that if you are in the middle of the screen or the middle of the stage, that's when he'll likely do it. So you just have to, as long as you're kind of underneath and behind him, you can, even if he follows you, he still can't hit you. And that's when I just unloaded with like the multi missiles or whatever it's called,
the storm missiles.
The storm missiles. I was able to knock him out pretty quickly. But yeah, if you get hit by that thing, it's
devastating.
Yeah, it's pretty devastating to especially the next phase, because that phase will destroy you if your health is pretty low. Because I got to the point where I could get to the final phase with not being touched or have just about full health. So,
and then did you struggle with like his sun? Sun blast.
I did, because he shoots like a sun blast up into like the top of the screen, and it shoots out these lines, but they break up, so you have opportunities to jump between. But then he's also doing his main red blast or whatever it is, so it's really hard to dodge. And I died a lot because of that, not realizing that I can do like the giant bomb or whatever it is to knock that sun out. So that's definitely good going into hard mode for me. But yeah, I struggled not quite as much on the fourth phase as the third, but once I was able to get into the fourth and have opportunities to learn, it didn't take me too long after that. But yeah, it's a super long boss fight, but it's very rewarding after you beat it.
It wasn't too bad on hard mode, because I had gone back and I'd gotten everything. So I had 12 energy cells. And I really didn't get hit that much because I learned it previously, but yeah, it wasn't too bad. Cool. I mean, just keep that in mind. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to know. And then of course, after you defeat him, there's a kind of like a, not secret, but like a final stage. And you get this really, really badass looking, like,
you turn into a Metroid.
Yeah, you turn into a Metroid. You fully embrace like your Metroid powers. And yeah, you look super badass, and you got like this giant beam cannon, and you just murder Ravenby, because he gets affected by the X parasite. And then comes back to life and transforms, or not. I don't think he actually dies, but he transforms into this giant monster, and you fight him. So that was a really cool. At first, I was like, "Oh God, is there gonna be like another stage to this fight?" Because I don't know if I have it in me. And then it's just simply holding on the button. So that
which
was
I appreciated.
Yeah, I definitely appreciated that for sure. So that was a really cool moment.
And then the escape sequence.
Yeah, super cool. Just being able to actually use that blast, and you could just hold it down the entire time and just mow through enemies. So that was badass. They did a really good job of making you feel badass and actually getting to use that suit.
That was very reminiscent of Super Metroid, which also has an escape sequence.
Okay, very cool. Yeah. I was like a solid escape sequence, and it's not too long. I mean, I
2
think I
minutes?
died. I think I died the first time through, and then once I did it again.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask, if you die, do you just restart from the?
You do, yeah. You just restart from the
Okay.
beginning of the escape scene, so they don't.
I was
Yeah.
worried.
Oh my god. If I probably would have quit if I had to redo the whole boss fight over again. But yeah, and then obviously you beat the game, and that's kind of it. So
And then you do it again.
then you do it again. I wish there was more. I mean, obviously it's hard to have like a new game plus in these type of games because it kind of breaks them.
Yeah.
But I wish there was more to unlock. Because I know like you can unlock like art and stuff based on how fast you beat it and stuff like that. Because at first, like when I beat it, I got like the zero mission popped up, and I was like,
Oh man.
did they give you this game? Because that would have been awesome. But no,
Dude,
they don't.
They had me, man.
Yeah.
Like that'd be so cool. Like if you beat the game in under 4 hours, you get Super Metroid or
Yeah, like that would have been so cool and smart to do that. But yeah, there's really not much. I mean, you get hard mode. I mean, so far hard mode's really not that much harder than the original. I mean, and because you know I'm used to those powers by now, and I'm kind of gotten used to the controls and stuff like that. But yeah, I wish there was more to unlock with this game.
I wish there was an item randomizer.
Ooh, that could be really cool.
I know a lot of people kind of mod previous Metroids and do that. And since this game is relatively open ended, I think it could work. It's just yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I'll doubt we'll get any sort of DLC for this. Yeah, I'm not expecting anything at all. But yeah, I mean, I would love for them to add something to it, whether it's like you said, an item randomizer or something, some sort of like change to the world or to the map. But yeah, that's like kind of my only gripe with the game is just not enough like unlockables at the very end for beating it. So that was a little bit of a bummer. But everything else, man, I definitely once we start doing game of the year stuff, like it's definitely gonna be up there for me. I know it's probably up there for you. So yeah, man, what a game. What an
incredible game. And I wanted to ask, because I didn't really do any of these on my first playthrough, and it wasn't until I did my 100% run that I actually did them. But have you done any of the Shine Spark puzzles?
Shine Spark puzzles.
And it might end up being a new mechanic that you haven't used, but
okay.
So if you start doing your speed boosts, and
when you stop and are able to like
you stop and you can charge it up and you can keep running to another location, and then you can initiate the actual like boost.
Okay.
So
I never quite could figure that out because I know there's the speed blocks, but they're kind of crammed away in certain areas.
Yeah.
Where obviously you can't run. So I never did do any of those outside of like maybe one, I think. But I feel like every time I did that and stopped and powered up and was able to hold on to that boost, I would jump and I would lose it. So I wasn't quite sure how to work.
You have to jump in a way where you do your spin while you jump.
Okay.
Like if you just press B and jump, it'll initiate it. But if you press B while holding left or right, then you can keep it charged and not using it. So
okay, cool.
That's like kind of what like a lot of those puzzles are, is like you charge it, you go to another location, and then you might have to like break open a couple of blocks or something, and then you finally get to the location, and then you can either do another Shine Spark and shoot yourself and then charge it again, or you can use it and open up the.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Cool. So I thought those were really cool. There's at least one in every level.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that's just like one of those things that I didn't really play with. My first time through, and I was like, yeah, like I keep hearing people talking about these Shine Spark puzzles, but I haven't done a single one yet.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't really use the running.
And there's really not a reason to.
Yeah,
I mean, you can use it during boss fights, but
yeah, outside of like absolutely having to do it to progress. Yeah, there's really no reason to do it. So because I mean, and you go so fast at those levels anyways that especially after you get like the space jump, and you can just constantly jumping in the air and just clearing everything. So yeah, that is going to that's going to wrap up our discussion for Metroid. Again, like there's some story stuff that we could talk about, but it's really not that important to the game. So I guess we'll just kind of go over that because, like I said, there's not much story to the game other than, I mean, I know there is some pretty deep lore to Metroid, but I don't know if that's stuff that's ever in the games, and you have to go outside of other material to find that kind of stuff. But within this game specifically, and they do a good job at the very beginning to kind of get you caught up with what's going on, and I could follow the story pretty easily. But other than that, there's not much. There's cutscenes and stuff like that. But Samus does talk one time, so that's cool.
She does. Does it? Yeah, talks in her Chozo language.
Yeah. But that's going to wrap up the discussion for Metroid. I'm going to continue going through hard mode and playing some more, so I'll probably briefly bring it up sometime next week. And Nick, you said you're going to try to do an under 4-hour run, so
yeah, we'll see.
We'll continue to play this game. I've really liked it up to this point, and definitely potential game of the year. So
yeah,
so it's awesome. But you want to go ahead and jump into the news?
Yeah. So I guess the big thing this week is this Nintendo Online expansion pack, which got a price release.
Yep.
At $50 per year for a single user, or is it $80 for family, or is it $85?
It's $79.99, $80.
$80 for family for a year.
Yep.
It's a lot more than I thought.
Yeah, it is. And as someone who pays for the family, which, Nick, I guess, could we not do that? Could we not do the family thing and just split it up?
I bet we could.
I mean, it would. Yeah, I mean, we'd be paying $40. So I guess save $10. So,
yeah, you'd be saving 40.
Yeah, I would be saving 40. But yeah, pretty expensive for what it is. But I did do a YouTube video on it. Just kind of my brief thoughts. So with them, because obviously they announced this kind of came at the tail end of the Animal Crossing update. Because they're going to include that in with this service, which is really cool. I mean, it's still you could pay the year and the expansion, and it's still cheaper than what you would pay for the expansion. But you're getting the N64 games and the Sega games. So and there's no monthly option for this, right? It's just the year.
It's just the year.
Okay. So I mean, is it worth it right now? Is it worth it? I don't know. Like I'll probably play it, at least pay for the year, the one time, and just hope that Nintendo can, because they've got a set amount of games coming at launch with the N64 and Sega.
Yeah.
The big one being Mario Kart, which has online, which is for the first time ever, which is really cool. For the N64 version, Star Fox, Mario, N64, Mario,
Legends of Zelda.
Ocarina of Time, yeah, which I'll definitely check out.
Yeah.
I mean, we get it on the Switch, right?
You know what else I did?
What?
I bought that stupid Nintendo 64 controller.
Oh, did you get one?
I got one.
Oh man, I tried to get it on Friday after I woke up and watched the video. I tried to go buy it, but it was sold out temporarily, so I'll keep an eye. I do want one though. Just
it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
It looks pretty cool, but it means I have to get the expansion pass. I mean, obviously now I'm suckered in.
There you go. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, so with the inclusion of the Animal Crossing thing, hopefully Nintendo will start doing this more often. Maybe expansion for like Splatoon 3, or some other expansion for a game that they have. Hopefully they'll include this in this price. Hopefully that doesn't mean that they take away the expansion for Animal Crossing and replace it with that. But I mean, it could be cool, if they swap stuff like that out, or maybe did something like Sony does or Xbox does and have like a free game every month, like an actual, whether it's a first party game or a third party game, but an actual Switch game that's included, and not just an online game or like a trial. I think Mario Tennis has like a trial you can do. maybe ways to amp up that extra cost. Because right now, I mean, unless you're just
necessarily seem worth it.
Yeah, it doesn't. What are your kind of thoughts on it?
I mean, I put out that poll, and well, I guess I put out 2 polls. One to guess the price.
Yeah.
And the majority of the people guessed $40, and that was the highest number I had put on there because I didn't think that they would go any higher than that. So
that
kind of tells you how I think in one way. And then I put out the other poll seeing how people thought about it, and the majority of people said it was too high of a price. So
yeah, I think most people are saying that it's too high,
and I think it is because it's great that they're adding Nintendo 64 games. The Sega games I could really care less about.
Yeah,
I think if they would have added GBA games or Game Boy Color games, it would have made it worth it. But I feel like the Sega stuff is just it's kind of unnecessary. I feel like Sega should have just done a collection or released collections on the eShop.
And they have one too of some of these games already.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I'm not a Sonic fan. I'm not a Streets of Rage fan. Like I don't benefit from that portion of it.
Yeah, I never owned a Sega Genesis or anything Sega related, so I don't have that nostalgia for it.
So now it's Nintendo asking us to pay $30 for $30 extra, for Nintendo 64 games,
which I brought up in the video I did on YouTube. Because I mentioned going to this game shop when I went to Roanoke. And I looked at Ocarina of Time for the N64, and it was like $40 or $50. So, I mean, if you want to play these retro games without having to spend, because they're really expensive outside of, whether you go on like the Wii U shop or something like that, because you can buy Ocarina of Time for $10 there if you want to, unless they pulled it at this point, who knows? Which is Nintendo, which they probably did. So if you look at it in that regard and you really want to go back and play these retro games, because I also brought up maybe they'll add like the original Smash Brothers and have online play. That could be super cool and enticing for a lot of people. I just think that they need to add more to the service, because I just don't think if they don't do anything, because you don't get discounts for having this service.
You don't get free games.
You don't get free games other than the 2 that you've gotten, like Tetris 99. In like Mario 35, I think you got, but that was a limited time. And then so there's not really a big incentive. You don't get free games. You don't get like first party games that have already been on the market. I think they do.
You don't get a great online experience either. I mean,
yeah, you don't get voice chat in your games. So I think paying the $35 I was paying a month or a year for the family plan for that was definitely worth it. I mean, it's $35. It's nothing. But now you want me to pay $80. I've severely fallen off of Animal Crossing, which I'm interested to go back and try it out. And if I get this plan, I'll check it out. But other than that, being included, which you could say it is or included or isn't, because it's still it's a paid DLC. So you're kind of just paying for it with this regardless. But there's not a big incentive to purchase this, and I think most people, they don't add more stuff to this, and I'm not talking about just adding more Nintendo 64 games and Sega games. I don't think a lot of people are going to renew that, renew it in a year when they pay for it, because you'll go through Animal Crossing and you'll get everything you want out of that, and most people don't play Animal Crossing on a day-to-day basis, since they've just had like kind of the minor updates. But I think they just got to add more, and hopefully they will. Hopefully they'll get people in initially, and then they'll say, okay, we got Smash coming, we're adding Game Boy games with no additional cost, all that good stuff. So who knows?
And I hope I for the consumer's sake, I hope their initial subscription numbers are less than they anticipated, and it kind of gives them a wake-up call of like, hey, you can't just rely on your legacy content to sell the subscription model. Like, you have to look at Xbox, you have to look at PlayStation, which has like Xbox has Game Pass, and PlayStation has PlayStation Plus, which gives a couple free games, but they also have the PlayStation Plus collection.
Yep.
Where you can get a bunch of free games that are fantastic, like God of War, Ratchet and Clank, Days Gone, like all these smash hits. I mean, Nintendo needs to add something like that to their service to make it worth it, because right now you're just paying for legacy content that existed in a better state on previous consoles like the Wii U and the Wii 3DS. I mean, it was so much easier to get older Nintendo titles on those systems.
Yeah. I think if they maybe didn't necessarily give you like a copy of a game, but maybe said, hey, for this month, starting on the 1st or whatever, you can essentially loan or play like Pikmin 3. And then once the month is over, we're going to take it away from you and we're going to replace it with another, and then say, okay, hey, maybe you get it, 50% off or something because you didn't finish it or you really liked it, whatever the case is. I think that would be really smart if they don't want to just give you all access to these games and forever, as long as you're paying for the service, of course. I think that would probably be the Nintendo move for that option. But they need to do something more as far as giving away free games. Because I just don't think, the legacy stuff holds up that well and it justifies paying double a year for those options.
Yeah. This makes me think of the dark Wii U days when Nintendo sent out essentially a voucher for a free copy of a Wii U game of your choice.
Yeah.
And you could choose between like Super Mario Bros. Wii U or A Wonderful 101. There were like a lot of games on there. And of course that was, in part due to their desperation of the Wii U, but having something like that for the online service would be really cool.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. Yeah, I just think that if they were to came out with this and did not have Animal Crossing DLC included, like people would have lost their minds because that's just so expensive. And like I said, I hope people, make the decision with their wallet and say, hey, it took you guys too long to update Animal Crossing with a significant amount of content that I have no interest in this anymore. And since I have no interest in that, I'm not paying double. I'm not paying $80 a year or $50 a year for this membership. I'll just keep what I've got, or, whatever the case is. But yeah, it's interesting. I really hope they just can update it over the next year and make it worthwhile, but we'll see.
I hope so too. Well, aside from the paid Animal Crossing DLC, which is kind of like a Happy Home Designer-esque DLC where you can design homes and complete all these challenges, kind of turns it more into a game and less of a sim, I think. But aside from that, there's a whole direct dedicated to Animal Crossing 2.0. And I'm going to caveat this by saying I lost my Animal Crossing islands when I formatted my Switch for my fiance to use. And I forgot that my island was on my Switch Lite. And I didn't do the backup. So I lost it.
So you have to go into the game and talk to somebody to get it to update automatically. It doesn't just do it for you.
You do. Yeah, it's really dumb, and it's something that they didn't add in at the beginning of the game.
Okay.
Or when it came out, but they added it in like later that year. But you had to go in,
so annoying,
press select, talk to Tom Nook, and he explains like, oh, you should only use this if you lose your Switch or it gets stolen or something. And it's like,
no, I'm gonna use it all the time. Why wouldn't I?
Why can't I save my island? Like, who cares if I cheat or turn back the clock or turn forward the clock or whatever? Like,
I wonder how many people that switched from a Lite or switched to an OLED, how many people lost their saves because of that? Because they haven't played in so long, they don't know that was even an option. Or they just thought automatically that it would just do it like every other game does.
And like, the thing is, Animal Crossing brought in so many new gamers.
Yeah.
That aren't privy to that information. Like, they're not going to know that their save is gone until this new update comes out and everyone boots it up. And it's like, well, where's my island?
I was super scared when I formatted my stick accidentally when I switched over to the OLED. But then everything was in the cloud, so everything got downloaded again. So that was really convenient, but scary for a second.
So did you check to see if your island is there?
So my I guess my save, I might have lost it too. I don't know. I guess my save would still be on my Switch, my regular Switch, because I don't know. I'll have to check it out because it may be stored on my internal memory for the Switch, the regular Switch.
Yeah, it might be.
That would suck. Oh well. Maybe I will check it out.
Speaking of this update, I'm just going to run through a list of everything that was added.
Okay.
Returning and upgraded special characters. They added Brewster. It's a coffee place that's attached to the museum. They added Harv's Island expansion, cooking, farming, Captain's Islands, the Roost, which is the coffee shop, I think.
Okay.
New furniture, new fences, more hairstyles, more reactions, new KK Slider songs, first-person camera and tripod, gyroids, stretching, and then as far as quality of life updates, they added villager house visits, scooting between furniture, so you can move between furniture, a storage shed, permanent ladders, which is nice.
Yeah, that is nice.
Your own ABD, which is like the personal banking application, island ordinances, more house exteriors, ceiling furniture, which is cool, accent walls, bridges and inclines increased to 10 each, and then patterns for furniture can be worn or used as wallpaper. I'm saying these and these just sound so dumb, but like I know people are really happy about it.
Yeah.
And if I had an island, I would be happy about this as well.
So that being said, I don't know what your plans are. I don't know if you're going to go back and play again and try to get back to where you were. Does any of this stuff interest you at all? If you were worked at, yeah.
I don't think even if I had my island, I would necessarily go in and utilize all these updates.
Yeah, I don't think I would either. I may, if my save is fine, I may check it out once I get the service and start dabbling, just so I can get that experience. But yeah, I really liked Animal Crossing, really up until the point that you got the freedom to terraform, and then I just kind of lost interest.
Yeah,
but maybe it's just not my my type of game. But
it was fun while it lasted. But
yeah, it was definitely
all days must come to an end.
Yeah, definitely a fun part of the zeitgeist that happened around when that came out and the pandemic first started, and I was working from home by then, so yeah, cool time.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is Elden Ring got delayed, but only by a month, so
not bad,
not too bad. There is a technical beta or something coming out pretty soon
in November.
November, okay.
I've signed up.
Okay, I need to sign up too and check it out.
So we'll see, and kind of in tandem with this delay, and I don't think the delay was because of this, but there was like 30 seconds of leaked Elden Ring footage of someone just like walking around atop a mountaintop,
yeah,
and just jumping around freely.
Okay,
and it was captured on an Xbox One, so it didn't look phenomenal,
right? And who knows what kind of state that game was in at the time, if it was like early alpha or whatever the case is. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
I'm excited for this game regardless of
definitely
how it looked, because Souls games have never been lookers. Like they've never
they've always been really good at like making the areas and like the set pieces really good looking, and like kind of like the backdrops and the backgrounds and stuff. But yeah, it's never been like a jaw dropping, like
they've never been technical masterpieces, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm definitely excited. So yeah, and like you tweeted, Nick, it'll give you more time to play Pokemon Arceus too. So
yeah,
cool.
If that's good.
I'm still not quite.
I guess we should mention we don't know if it's going to be actually open world.
I think it's more of like a
hub
based. Yeah.
Which kind of kills my excitement a little bit. I mean, like I love games like Monster Hunter, and I don't think it'll be like that. But I kind of just wanted this free world to
travel
explore.
through. Yeah. I still think I need a couple more videos. I'm sure they'll do some sort of like direct in November or December, or getting closer to the to that release. I still need a couple more videos to take a look at that. I'm not quite convinced yet, just because Pokemon has burned me. Sword and Shield burned the shit out of me. So, which we got the new Diamond and Pearl coming out this year, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to pick up. So
yeah,
I'm kind of counteracting myself here, but yeah. And then lastly, the mini fridge, the Xbox mini fridge that started out as a meme because the Series X looks like a fridge. Xbox is actually creating one, and I believe the pre-orders just went up today, right?
They did, yeah, for $99.
So I mean, that's not a terrible price for what it is. Huh?
It's not bad.
It's not bad. I'm sure you cannot get one because I'm sure the scalpers have absolutely destroyed that thing.
I think for now, but apparently it's not going to be a limited item.
Okay,
it's going to be readily available. So don't worry if you didn't get one.
I might get one. If I can find one.
It should be like readily available in Target.
Okay.
Or Best Buy, maybe. I mean,
yeah, that's cool. I mean, I don't know how. I haven't seen like the specs for it, so I don't know how big it is. But I've got like
fridge.
Yeah, I mean, I've got like a mini kind of fridge thing that can hold like 6 or 7 like cans.
I think that's the size. I think it holds 6 cans, and like it has like a couple of holders on the door for snacks.
So it's literally probably just about the same size as a Series X, just maybe a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit bigger.
That's funny.
It's awesome. It's a great idea.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't mention or didn't type it down, but Xbox has got a 20th like event coming up soon, relatively soon. I don't know the exact date, but they mentioned no new games or anything like that. So I don't know what they're going to have there.
Okay.
People are speculating that there may just be saying that, but
they could show Halo Infinite campaign footage.
That could be very cool.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to get hyped up for it, but
I don't know. I'm starting to build up my hypeness just because like that multiplayer beta that technical test was so
juicy.
good. It was so good, and it feels amazing. So if they can nail that single player experience, I'm ready. Nick, have you? I guess you probably haven't played Black for Blood, have you?
No, not yet.
I am like weirdly. I was so hyped for this game, and now that it's here, I've heard some kind of not necessarily mixed reviews about it, but just it's really challenging, and you have to get it's obviously it's way more fun if you have 4 players playing co-op wise. But yeah, I'm weirdly not interested right now, and maybe that's just because I'm loving Dread so much that it's hard to break away from that. But yeah,
maybe we should try to. If you're around, maybe we should try to play it later this week or this weekend or something.
Yeah, I think I definitely want to try it with you and maybe some randos or something, or whoever we can get playing with us. But we definitely need to try it out because I mean it looks like it's fun. But
and lastly, I wanted to ask: Are you picking up Resident Evil 4 this week?
Oh yes, yeah, I'll pick it up on
Thursday.
Yeah, I'll probably pick it up and try it out a little bit.
Nice.
Are you gonna pick it up?
I think I will.
I might. Hopefully, reviews will come out for it. I don't know if they've come out for it yet. But if the reviews are pretty solid, I'll definitely pick it up.
Yeah, I guess they would go up tomorrow.
Yeah.
If they are, I mean, yeah, I'm like kind of excited, but I'm also a little bit skeptical because, converting an entire game to VR has to be pretty difficult.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, I felt like not super woozy. I had like a slight wooze when I was playing Walking Dead, so I don't know. And that's a long game too, Resident Evil 4. So we'll see. I'll definitely want to pick it up and at least experience it and see that in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is going to wrap up the show, guys. I appreciate everyone that has been listening to the show. You guys can always follow us on twitch.tv/gaming with the Broadcast. We stream every Monday. Usually we skipped yesterday because Nick had his concert, but we usually stream every Monday at 8:30. Easter time. So catch us live, and if you can follow us, that would be great. But Nick, where can they go follow us on Twitter?
They can follow us at Gaming WT Bros. I'm normally tweeting about Metroid Dread or something Metroid related. So follow us there.
Lots of Metroid here recently.
Lots of Metroid. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not. It's great. yeah, Metroid Dread is pretty great. But and then you can also follow me over on YouTube, Atomic Reptar 92. I've been doing a lot of been getting back into doing more videos. I stopped for a while just because I mainly do Nintendo stuff, and Nintendo's kind of been quiet outside of like their last direct. Mm-hmm. So not much to talk about, but yeah, I'll be ramping up some more videos here pretty soon. So if you could go subscribe over to that would be great. But Nick, last thoughts before we roll out on this fine Tuesday evening?
I hope everyone has a great Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
Or Wednesday evening, depending on when you're listening to this. Or great day. Let's just go with great day.
Just have a great time. Time.
Have a great.
All right, guys. We will see y'all next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.